Over the past few years, there's been a pretty major shift on YouTube, and it's resulted in me making this much money off of one single video. The shift in question is YouTube's prioritization of ultra-long videos. According to recent data, a single 2-hour video can make you 100 times more money than a single 20-minute video. So we're gonna do a bit of a deep dive into long and ultra-long videos. Who's making them? Who are they even for? And are they already a dead format, or is this something people are still doing today? First, let's talk about how things kind of used to be on YouTube before this big shift. The tried and true advice you'd hear over and over again about growing a YouTube channel. For a while, it was about making shorter videos. Shorter videos would maximize your viewer retention because people had a better chance of watching the entire way through. And if you did that well, then those shorter videos would be favored in the algorithm because the viewer satisfaction must be high if people are finishing it. It also helps that shorter videos mean faster consumption. People are going to be watching more of them in a shorter amount of time. Therefore, you could have a viewer session on your channel where people don't watch one of your videos, they watch maybe 3 in a row before moving on to something else. Now, a lot of that advice is still true today, but the big thing that's changed in the last several years is YouTube Shorts. In the last few years especially, they've become more and more prevalent. YouTube is cramming shorts into every corner of the app. Short-form content might be great for increasing visibility, but it kind of ticks all those boxes I just mentioned about shorter videos, but in a different kind of way. And a lot of that advice isn't necessarily wrong, but it doesn't take into account the fact that YouTube Shorts exist now. When you're looking for a quick hit of entertainment or you want a quick answer to a question you have, clicking on a YouTube Short that's like 20-30 seconds long is pretty appealing versus like a 5-minute long video that supposedly teaches you the same thing. So if it's true that shorter videos led to people watching more of them and YouTube was favoring them to the point where now YouTube Shorts have kind of filled that gap, how is it possible that this newer data about ultra-long videos is showing such positive signals? That is really what we're digging into here today. So let's go into this by first defining what an ultra-long video is versus, say, a long video, because I am going to lay out a difference here. For the sake of argument, in this video, we're going to consider a long video to be anywhere between 30 to 60 minutes. Videos of this length have a lot of benefits. For one thing, they have multiple slots for mid-roll ads. Honestly, that's just a really dedicated viewer. They have a much higher chance of connecting with the person they're watching because they're going to be spending so much time with them. So now that we've defined a long video, let's talk about what an ultra long is. Now you assume I'm going to say it's anything after an hour, but we're going to give like an hour leeway because, for example, some podcasts go over an hour. Some of them are an hour and a half. We wouldn't really consider those ultra long in this context, but once that number on the YouTube timestamp ticks up from a 1 to a 2 and beyond, that's when things start to feel like a heavier commitment. So basically anything over 2 hours, we are calling an ultra long video. Now these videos come in all shapes and sizes. They could be mega long D&D sessions. They could be 10 hours of rain noises that you just put on overnight, or they could be compilations of a whole bunch of short videos. A lot of these videos are fantastic for people who just want to put something on to have in the background, whether they are going to go to sleep or they're going to clean their house or something like that. Real second monitor content, if you will. For me, I've tried multiple times to get my cat to watch the TV for Cats stuff that I find, where it's just squirrels and birds on the screen constantly, and I'd say it holds our attention for maybe like 5 minutes. Anyway, just because an ultra long video can be great for some background noise, that doesn't mean they're necessarily low effort. Let's get into some examples, starting with Wendigoon. They have 4.5 million subscribers, and they started out by making 5 to 10 minute videos before quickly pivoting to 30-minute videos. Nowadays, though, they're dropping 4, 5, even 9-hour long videos, and they're getting millions of views doing it. Wendigoon threw out the old advice and decided to invest as much time as possible into every piece of content. The result is a channel that people go to, click on a video, and sit back for as long as they want, while Wendigoon regales them of the mysteries of the internet. These types of videos aren't a new genre by any means. They're just a different approach to making videos. The real question, though, is why did this work? Is it just because this person is already very popular? Is this just some kind of like fad or glitch? Or is there actually some kind of seismic shift here? Well, that's where the data comes in. According to a white paper from Little Dot Studios, what's driving these changes is YouTube themselves and viewer preferences. YouTube these days is a lot of things. It's part social media, part streaming platform, part traditional TV. They even have TV packages that you could subscribe to. Not only that, but a news story just came out the other day that says YouTube earns more money now than Disney, Paramount, and Warner Brothers Discovery combined. And that's with sharing some of that revenue with creators. All that to say that my interpretation of this even being pointed out to us is that YouTube is a lot of things to a lot of people. So Little Dot Studios analyzed a number of things: over 800 managed YouTube channels, 930 million subscribers, and 11.2 billion monthly views. What they found in this data is that 61% of the videos that were uploaded were under 30 minutes long. They accounted for 18% of the watch time and 30% of the revenue. Meanwhile, 39% of the videos that were uploaded were over 30 minutes long. And this is where it gets interesting. These videos accounted for 82% of the watch time and 70% of the revenue. The takeaway here is that despite the majority of videos being shorter, it was the much longer videos that took the largest piece of the pie when it came to the watch time and the revenue that they earned. This ultra long video explosion really happened between 2023 and 2024. And how big of an explosion are we talking? According to the researchers, our analysis showed that ultra-long videos didn't just accumulate more watch time, but they also often earned more views and higher RPM. On a representative cohort of channels, over 3-hour-long uploads were a tiny fraction of output, but delivered a disproportionate share of watch time and revenue. In other words, it's not just that watch time went up simply because the video was longer. These videos were just plain doing better. Let me show you a couple different examples of channels who were benefiting around this time. And just note, these are two incredibly different examples. First up, you have Lo-Fi Girl. I can't make a video about ultra-long videos without bringing up this channel. I'm sure you've seen it around. They regularly post videos that are over 8 hours long, and ultra-long videos have been their niche since day one. And although they're still crushing it today, at the height of the ultra-long boom, they were getting millions of views on every single video. And the other example is Folding Ideas. 5 years ago, they were making videos that were generally around 10 to 30 minutes long. And 4 years ago, they switched to uploading 1 to 2 hour long videos, and their views exploded. I myself remember watching Line Goes Up, which was an awesome video at the time, and it was being pushed heavily. Everyone I knew watched this video. The bottom line, though, is that a lot of channels were benefiting from making ultra-long videos at this time period on YouTube. Even I myself had a lot of success with those metrics I showed you a little bit earlier at the beginning of the video. But of course, with every strange content anomaly on this platform, it has to come to an end at some point. And in January 2025, that is when ultra-longs took a dive. This is believed to be an algorithm update, but essentially by May of 2025, the average length for a YouTube video went from 35 minutes down to 28 minutes. The videos being promoted today in the YouTube algorithm look very similar in terms of length to videos that were being promoted in 2022, back before the ultra-long form boom that we all experienced occurred. But we need to consider this. 2022 was basically the year Gen Z started to really sway the YouTube algorithm and determine what was and was not going to work on the platform. As that particular demographic continues to age, they are going to play a larger role in how content is shaped. A 2022 Ipsos survey found that 83% of Gen Zers have used YouTube to watch soothing content to help them relax. ASMR videos, nature videos, and compilations of oddly satisfying clips were all major draws for Gen Z. I want you to remember that point because that's going to come up again later. But now let's take a look at some case studies of channels where ultra-long videos and long-form videos made all the difference. First up is my favorite channel that makes very long videos, Jenny Nicholson. She actually started out by making like under 10-minute parody videos before pivoting to long-form in-depth commentary. All of her recent videos are over an hour long, and across the board, these super long videos have raised the bar of what Jenny can expect when she uploads something new. Her long-form videos from 7 years ago still outperform her short-form content. Up next is Quentin Reviews. They pivoted from short-form content to nostalgia-based media analysis. Just 4 years ago, these videos went from being under an hour long to now being multiple hours long. Of course, the shift has skyrocketed the views on the channel. And although Quentin is not uploading super often, the most recent videos on the channel go from being between 2 hours to 42 hours long. I haven't watched Beverly Hillbillies, but I assume if you took the first episode all the way to the last episode and just played it through, it probably wouldn't amount to 42 hours of content. So I don't know what's happening in this video, but I kind of want to watch it just to find out. Anyway, another superstar making ultra long form content is H-Bomber Guy, the last video being 4 hours long with over 40 million views. Given how long it's taken for him to upload, I can't even imagine how long his next video is going to be. The main takeaway with all these channels, though, is that upon leaving the short form content behind and switching to ultra long form content, they all reached new heights with their channels. But there's one other factor that connects them, and that brings us back to the data. Long videos and ultra long videos have been finding a lot of success on YouTube. However, ultra long videos are not nearly as explosive as they used to be just a few years ago. So how is this still working for these other creators? Well, let's revisit the data from Little Dot Studios. Their findings suggest that the ultra-long format may resurface for niche content. Think back to the examples in this video. With the exception of the ultra-long videos that are designed to be played in the background, the creators who found success in this format did so because they dove deeper in their niche, thereby producing an ultra-long video naturally. Jenny Nicholson's video about visiting the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser Hotel was 4 hours and 5 minutes long, because it needed to be 4 hours and 5 minutes long. And in order to prove that, I invite you to go watch it because it's incredible. The point being that Jenny's video didn't waste any time at all, and it still ended up being 4 hours long. Again, it happened naturally. To me, despite ultra long form videos maybe not being as good as they used to be in terms of views, this shift makes total sense. With AI pushing itself into every corner of the YouTube algorithm, it makes a lot of sense that people would be craving a more human connection when it comes to sitting down and watching some content. Creators who take their time telling a story and doing in-depth analysis are always going to win over people who are just taking 5 minutes to just put something on the platform just to get some views. If you have some time to kill, maybe over the course of a couple of dinners, you're watching a 4-hour video, it's really nice not to have to think and scroll and scroll and scroll to find something of quality to watch. But my opinions about why I love ultra long form videos aside, also, the data suggests that there is a supply shortage when it comes to ultra-long content. Not enough people have been creating it, traditionally speaking, so we're starting to see a larger demand for it, and we're starting to see more creators test different things out in the ultra-long format. For me, this right here was an experiment. Something I did one time just to see if it would work. Took some videos, compiled them into one big video, and it worked out fantastically. Why did it work out so well? Well, the problem I identified is that playlists on YouTube aren't that easy to go through. If you start watching a video series in a playlist and you happen to lose your place in it, it's kind of hard to get back into the playlist at the spot where you left off. But if you compile all those videos into something that's, I don't know, 9-10 hours long, suddenly it's a lot easier to scroll through. Suddenly you can watch it in little bite-sized chunks. And that's exactly what my viewers did with this video. As far as that shift in the YouTube algorithm I mentioned earlier, where ultra long form videos aren't being surfaced as heavily as they used to me, that's just a matter of YouTube balancing the scales. They saw that ultra long videos were being a bit too favored and they pulled back a little bit. But I think what they did is kind of even the playing field a little bit more. There should be just as much room for a 42-hour video as there is for a 42-second video on this platform, and I think that's all they're really trying to do. So if this is something you're wanting to try for yourself, I have some recommendations. It's worth noting that not any video on YouTube, any subject, is going to work in the ultra long format, but if you feel like your content might, then you could try what I did and compile a bunch of your shorter videos into one ultra long video. Or you could do a super long deep dive on a topic that you are very, very passionate about. Just make a video essay and write and write and write until it doesn't make sense to write anymore. And I urge you to also experiment with storytelling in that video. Try and create an overarching narrative that keeps coming up throughout the entire thing. Don't forget to sprinkle in some B-plots, some side characters, things like that. What are your thoughts though? Have you ever watched an ultra long video? Have you considered making them for yourselves? Do you feel like we are seeing the end of the ultra long form boom and actually this is not a great time to be making that content? Whatever your answer is, just remember you can do whatever you want on YouTube. I want you to watch this video next. It's about niche expansion. If you're thinking about making an ultra long form video, but you feel like your current niche and the bucket you're in is just a little too constrained, this video teaches you how to expand your niche a little bit. So enjoy.